I have survived 6,000 days or 1,995 hours in hardcore Minecraft. In this video, I will take you on a journey of 1,000 days in what is turning into a pretty spectacular world. A lot has happened here since I released my 5,000 days video, and these last 1,000 days were incredibly close to being the end of the road. I used one of these for the first time in a long time, but it was in a really bad place. And no joke, if there was one day on this entire adventure that was the single worst day to lose the world, it must have been that one. You'll find out why, but first, let's rewind a bit to day 5001. My entire world is connected through this nether hub. 1 block in the nether equals 8 blocks in the overworld, so going through this dimension is often used for fast travel. This structure is so big that every location that is less than 2,000 blocks away from my main base has a portal within the build. During the first stream, after day 5000, we went on a trip that took us well beyond the area that the nether hub covers. The mission for that day was to venture out into unexplored terrain because the 1.17 update had just come out. To make sure that the world stayed as connected as it was, I decided that we were going to find new chunks at a stronghold location. That way, we could fly over the nether roof to get to that area, but use the end portal to travel back through the end statue. That doesn't just save the trouble of a return flight, it does something way more important. It makes the world feel like one connected world, rather than being a scrapbook of separate, disconnected projects. Once I had located the end portal and found the perfect spot, I decided to take some time to make up for a missed opportunity. Something I never really did when I first started the world. Back then, I was in a bit of a rush to start my first big project, so I'd rushed past the starter house. I made an early house, but it never felt like a home. Just an industrial shack with villagers and early sugarcane. Now that we were far, far away from everything I had built up to this point, I decided it was time to make up for that. We were gonna fix the absence of a nice starter house with a vacation home. As I built this nice small project, I traveled around the surrounding area looking for all the new things that had come with the 1.17 update. The first part of Caves and Cliffs had brought a lot of cool stuff into the game for us to find, except for actual caves and cliffs, of course. Exploring new stuff was still the best feeling though. Back then, I could only imagine how cool it would be to finally explore all the new terrain in the second part of the update. I couldn't wait to be surrounded by all of this. But axolotls, amethyst geodes, dripstone and moss were amazing additions to what I already believed to be the best game in the world. As I got all the new things sorted out, but one, I didn't get my hands on drip leaf yet. The time came to say goodbye to the vacation home and make my way back to the project that would be my main focus during this 1,000 day arc. The city of Looneyville. After I had finished the Heart of the Sea, or the Heart of the Season in full, I made a map room that captured the image of a huge area surrounding my base. An area about as big as a part of my world that was later covered by the nether hub. When I laid the maps in place, I saw a vast open stretch of ocean, and I decided that it would be really cool if the title of my hardcore series were to be written into the fabric of the world. That thought was the beginning of Looneyville. More than just a title on a map, it would end up being a thriving port city at the center of our story. There's a lot of work to be done to complete this project, so I returned to Looneyville and took another look at the districts that I had planned out. Getting this project to work is quite a challenge because I have to design the city within the limit of the letter frames while making it look and feel as an actual place that people can wander around. The challenging part is that not all the letters are actually connected, so we needed to come up with creative solutions to cross the water. Sometimes, building with blue blocks can do the trick and make the build blend into the water on the map. In the crafts district, I had to cross a gap that was too wide, so I decided to go under the water rather than over it. While we built this tunnel, I came across this little guy. So as per tradition, we got him in a boat and brought him over to the Heart of the Sea Underground Museum. This museum has been here for a long time, and over the course of having something for that long, the way you think about it changes. Early on, the Heart of the Sea and Looneyville were separate projects in my mind, quite far away from each other. More recently though, I think of it as the greater Looneyville area, and as time goes on, they will become more and more intertwined. As for the museum, that's a story in and of itself. When I started it, I called it the Mob Head Museum. That's what it was initially for. I wanted a place to display all the mob heads I collected during thunderstorms. When I built it, I thought that this room over here would do just fine. But the 284 display spaces that I had here filled up rather quickly, so I made another room with more than 3 times the space, so I could display all the hats that I would ever collect. You've guessed it. The collection grew past the 1,218 hats that I now had room for as well. At this point, we were steadily approaching 2,000 heads, so the museum needed to be expanded once more. With that expansion in mind, I mined out a giant room before 5,000 days, where I had already built this art installation out of the 217 shulker boxes I found scattered around the world on my 1-year anniversary. They were left behind at all the projects I had built in that year. Before we got to day 6,000, I wanted this place to be designed and decorated too. When I thought of the design for the room, I felt like it was time to make something special. Give you guys something close to me without you even knowing. The ceiling design I came up with for the room wasn't entirely made from scratch. It's an adaptation of earlier work I made before I started playing Minecraft. A little peek into my previous art project. A little glimpse of both the past and the future. There's software to make builds like these, but I think it's much more rewarding to figure challenges out yourself. So I made a design in Photoshop that I would freestyle onto the ceiling off stream. Things like these, where you're designing on a pixel level, take an amount of counting, recounting, and attention to detail that I can combine with doing an entertaining stream and talking to you guys. So on stream, we focus our attention on the rest of the room, and while doing that, we had a moment. For any of you who ever doubted the glow squid, this moment right here is why they are absolutely amazing. Moving light sources are the beginning of a development that I believe in the years to come will take light design in Minecraft to a level that is hard to even imagine right now. For starters, I decided to create glow squid pillars in this room for a little bit of extra magic. Once the pillars were done, I put the room on hold while I figured out the approach for the ceiling, and we focused our attention back on Looneyville. Because I was unaware, there was a moment coming up that would steer the entire Looney adventure seriously off its course. Since I had no idea things were about to change, I just took it one step at a time, fixing whatever problem was in front of me each day. Even when it wasn't raining, the city looked quite grey, so I decided that we had to do a little bit of landscaping before anything else. To get that done, we expanded the industrial basement under the heart of the sea with an automated moss farm, and soon the area that will be the Looneyville City Gardens looked completely different. All the while, we were spending time in the overworld, which had been a long time ago because the previous 2 projects I worked on were located in the Nether and the End. Because of that, we got a lot of thunderstorms, and the mob head collection was growing at unprecedented rates. Still unaware of what was coming, we worked on different parts of the city as we built Looneyville's school, mined for a full stream to get the resources for the roof because gathering copper in 117 was a nightmare. We constructed a science tower at the intersection between the gardens and the educational district, which definitely needed an end crystal on the top, even if it gave us PTSD flashbacks to this previous moment. And finally, we started construction in a hospital while we looked at the floating city of Looneyville from the sky. And then something happened that changed it all. I made it sound pretty daunting right there, but what actually happened is I hit a golden speed bump, the best speed bump in the world. Because of you guys' amazing support, I had just hit the unreal milestone of 500,000 subscribers the week before, which we celebrated with fireworks on the stream. Even though those numbers are insane and magical, I don't do what I do for numbers. But at the same time, the numbers represent something really special. Fact of the matter is that I can make a living by creating things because you guys support the things I make. And because there's so many of you, I got the opportunity to move back to the city where I went to university. A city that I love more than any other place in the world. A city where most of my best friends live. I got this amazing apartment, but it has one pretty major downside. It's an old building, and I'm still waiting for faster internet to be installed, which means that I haven't been able to stream from my home since I moved here. That's a challenging situation if the majority of your content is doing 6 live streams a week. I wasn't stressed about it though, because I knew you guys were there for me, and I could be there for you too, even if I wasn't able to stream. While I figured out the internet situation, I realized that I had time to focus on some content that I don't get around to if I'm streaming every day. So I decided to sit down and do a crazy thing. In my hardcore world, I have survived 6,000 days with 1,995 hours of playtime. That means I've slept the equivalent of 30 full nights in game, or 0.5% of the time I could have slept. I thought it would be really cool to take that no-sleep approach to a fresh world and do a full 100-day vid with no sleep, both in game and in real life. That video was a fun change of scenery, and the challenge itself was wild, but after I finished the edit, I was very excited to get back on the Looney adventure grind. There was still no fast internet though, so I came up with an idea to make a series that I called the Stream Gap Episodes, so I could continue working the world and sharing it with you guys, even if I couldn't stream it. The first episode was really straightforward. I had to make that ceiling that we talked about earlier. During recording for that video, I almost lost the world. Getting to the ceiling to put the blocks in place had been challenging. I had to get up there in a room that I already flooded with water because I like the light reflection. That made walking around the room a slow process, so I decided to place beams closer to the ceiling to work from, made from lower half slabs so they wouldn't spawn any mobs. After I counted out the entire outline and I filled it in section by section, I got the ceiling in place and prepared to take the support beams down. That's where things went absolutely wrong. But at the beginning of this video, I called it the worst possible day to lose the world. Now, that's not a joke, and it isn't something I would say lightly either. But I remember thinking that exact thing the moment after the incident happened. To understand why it would have been the worst day, I should tell you what I had been up to in the month leading up to it. While I was finishing the edit of the 100 Days Insomnia video, there was a Twitter announcement. For one edition, MCC would open applications for up-and-coming content creators. Now that felt like a bill I could fit. So together with my deceased friends, I made an application for MCC Rising. We made sure it looked good, but once the application was done and submitted, there was nothing else we could do there. The thing is, I knew that me being me, I didn't want to just get the chance to be a part of it. I wanted a chance to perform. So for the entire month, I worked hard to improve my general Minecraft skill set. I got together with my friends to improve the weakest parts of our game. We went from absolutely trash to kinda decent to eventually winning 20 games in a row once we learned to aim a little and got our communication on point. I looked at the MCC games and zoned in on a couple where I could actually compete to win it, and I got those consistent enough to perform when the pressure was on. And then the team selections came through, one by one. I kept hope until the very last one, but we unfortunately didn't make it in, and I have to admit, that hit me harder than I expected. I would have loved it so much, and I put in the work to be ready for it, but we weren't going to be a part of it. Some of my friends got in and I was excited for them, but I had to wait for another chance. So the next morning, I did the only thing that made sense, and I booted up my computer to finish the episode I've been working on. I started removing the beams I've been using to decorate the ceiling, and on that morning, as I was processing, this skeleton decided that it was probably a good time to end my hardcore world. The amount of things that were wrong here is not okay. This was one of the scenarios I've previously described as a moment where I could actually lose the world. I was unprepared, unexpecting, my hotbar was a mess, I had no shield in there, no weapon, no chest plate on, and I landed on a waterlogged slab so I couldn't move around. Then, add a little bit of unfortunate circumstance into the mix, and it might just be the moment. This guy's bow dropped, and he had power 4 and flame on the thing. That bow, that monster of a bow, just about put an end to the Looney adventure the day after I learned that we'd be missing out on MCC Rising. I would have really hated it if that's how it went down. This moment also made me hate not being able to stream. If it were to end in a moment like this, I want to share that moment with you guys. Luckily though, that day wasn't the day. We're still here. So I better make the most of it. With no faster internet in sight and no MCC practice to worry about anymore, I doubled down on video content. I started making 10-hour challenge videos inspired by Jahida. They're a great way to make something interesting to watch, while I also make actual progress in the world. And I gotta be honest, I do enjoy a grindy challenge. The first thing I wanted to do was a massive end busting spree. I've always loved raiding end cities, and I want to show you guys just how much gear and resource you can collect from it. The final haul was pretty insane, as I brought all of this back from my 10-hour quest. The main reason for the quest though was the diamond armor. We'll use all that armor as part of a build that we'll get to after 6,000 days. While thinking on what I wanted to do with this period of not being able to stream the world, I figured that this was probably the best moment ever to fix issues that had remained unresolved for a long time. I fixed the storage for both the gold farm and the fortress farm, moved the map room away from the heart of the sea to improve FPS, and then I got ready for the next 10-hour challenge I had planned. There's literally one day in the year when you can find unique Halloween mobs in your Minecraft world. Well, that is if you don't want to mess with your computer's date and time to cheat extra Halloween hours. But you guys know how to think about these things. The one thing that makes Halloween mobs so awesome is that they only spawn once a year. Last year, I didn't know it would be a thing, but this time, I had been waiting for it. So when October 31st came around, I set my alarm and spent 10 hours in search of the rarest Halloween mobs I could find. I wanted to find a diamond one so bad, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. At least this year it wasn't. I'll try again next year. Still, the collection grew by so much from last year, and some of these really are quite rare. Plus, I did find a diamond zombie, just didn't have a pumpkin hat on. A few days later, I built a new room in the museum for the Halloween mobs to stay, and I sorted the different mobs I collected and put them all over the museum in their display areas, or whatever temporary spot I still had for when their rooms were ready. But by this time, my mind was somewhere else. I enjoyed making smaller videos about my world progress for you guys while I wasn't streaming, but there was a clear downside to it as well. Trying to capture big projects in lots of smaller videos just isn't really my thing. The editing gets in the way of making that special effort. It gets in the way of a loony adventure and makes it just an adventure. As I made the video on the Crafts District, that realization really settled in. For video purposes, I had to just finish it, but it felt generic to me. It felt like milking the smallest insignificant thing for content. I'm aware that's probably not what it looked like at all, but I want to give you guys more. So my mind kept lingering at that other 10-hour challenge I had done. The one that was the grindiest out of all of them. 10 hours straight terraforming. That one was a real effort. And I made it to share with you guys how tedious some of these big projects can get. Still, they are absolutely worth doing. To me, they're more worth doing than small stuff. So I decided that there was one other thing I could do at this time where I couldn't stream regularly. I could not bore you guys to death by terraforming underwater on stream every day for 2 weeks straight. I could just get it out of the way without making noise about it in small episodes. So I got busy connecting Looneyville to the ocean floor down below. No more floating city. I was going to integrate the project into the world around it. The funny thing is that while I was making wireframes, filling them in, covering them with gravel at the base, and then adding kelp, glow lichen, and seagrass, while I was doing all of that next level terraforming, that was the week that the second part of Caves and Cliffs came out. So while I spent hours and hours crafting nice terrain, I saw lots of people explore those beautiful 1.18 landscapes on their streams. That got me really excited to update my own world. But I had to finish some things before I could update. First, I had to make my way to day 6,000. So I worked on those underwater mountains and started getting ready for the 6,000 day stream, which I streamed from the studio of one of my best friends. Streaming there was awesome, by the way, and I'm literally forever grateful for him hosting me on a few special occasions. Both because it made the lengthy stream gap a bit more bearable, but also because it enabled me to share some special moments with you guys that I wouldn't have wanted to miss out on. There was my birthday stream that we did a week late because I had a cough on my actual birthday and my voice was kind of messed up. 1,100 people showed up that day right at the start, even though I hadn't streamed in over 2 months at that point. That day was absolutely amazing and really fun. But there was another stream that wasn't as busy, but arguably more special to me. I got to take part in the Red Creator Cup, a charity event for COVID relief in the places where it was most needed. That day, my MCC training still paid off, as Laguna and I took the honorary mention prizes in 2 of the 5 categories, while we raised a ton of money that was then doubled by the Gates Foundation. Everyone who showed up to that stream helped make a difference, and I was really stoked to be able to do my part in something positive that I care about, and I love being in an event with other creators. As happy as I am in my new home, those streaming days were some of my highlights over the past months. And if I learned anything from this period, it's this. There was nothing that we needed to change about how we did the Looney Adventure. That doesn't mean that I won't be looking to improve it, but the live streams and big movies are the perfect way to do this. And even though I've really loved reading all your comments, making smaller videos without you guys isn't the same. It makes my world progress feel slow and empty and weird. So it felt really great to share the 6,000 day stream with you guys and have the fireworks at the end to celebrate the end of a 1,000 day arc. To me, This one is a chapter that was overdue for its end, and I'm really ready and excited for the next one. A chapter featuring high mountains and deep caves. A chapter where we still have to wait a bit for internet at my new home, but once we get that, you guys will finally get to meet me in person as we do a 24-hour face reveal stream. If you heard about that delay for the first time, I apologize for the long wait, but I assure you that it will be worth it with all the content I have planned out for you and the crazy studio setup that I've built for it. For whatever time is left in between now and that face reveal, I have found a solution for the streams. I can't get back to the full daily grind until they come and finally install new cables. But while we wait, I'm going to do a stream week for you guys from my old studio every few weeks. That means I have to pick up my setup, move it 200 kilometers, and be away from home for a bit. But it will be well worth it to share this journey with you guys. You can't walk a crazy adventure all by yourself. If this was your first time here, I want to thank you for listening to my story. If you've been here before, I want you to know that I've missed you. But to every single one of you, it's been a while since we've walked this journey together. So I just want to say it again. Welcome to the Looney Adventure.
Come back tomorrow. You know I might admit I wanted you to stay.